So this is where I'll start. Okay. Hello, my name is Steve Kuzma. Welcome to my show here at the beautiful Richard Stockton College, Kramer Hall here in Hamilton. This show comprises of work completed at residency in Woodstock. This is from the Powell Krasner grant, and also work from Ukraine. These are landscapes, as well as paintings painted on location at the Japanese Garden in Fairmount Park. Here's a quick tour of some of the paintings. We'll start here. This is a large panorama piece. It's over 20 feet long. It's taken a number of years to paint. It was painted on location, starting in the Adirondack Mountains. There were actually storms during the time I started painting this out of my station wagon at the foothills of the Adirondack Mountains. This was also then worked on at the Birdcliff residency in Woodstock. So this painting required about 8 years to surface. You see the details is water mixable oil built surfaces that come up to wax glazes and pastels. So it's, the painting has a lot of resonance, and that will create the textures, and moving on into the sky and the greenery, which the techniques will give me the ability to put in a lot more texture using the water mixable oils. And moving over here, I have another painting in water mixable oils. This is a meadow of flowers, similar to the meadow that's in the painting from the Adirondacks. This painting here is an oil. Its inspiration has to do with the idea of renewal or daybreak. It has to do with spring. This show is taking place in springtime, and spring bringing hope for renewal and renewed aspirations. So this is a piece that has a lot of positive messages in it, a lot of the hues that you find coming into springtime are in this painting. This is an oil. Over here, I have a painting that was painted in the forest. It's an abstract. I spent a lot of time hiking. Much of my hiking was up in the mountains of the Adirondacks in northern New York. Actually, at one point we did a tour going cross country. But most of these are from New York State. So this would be, again, springtime, using the water mixable oils. This technique has the branches scraped into and reversing, actually, another layer underneath it, which is a complementary color to the surface. So it's a modern technique that I use to convey some of the resonance you find in nature. This painting was painted on location, actually in the mountains of Woodstock, and it, along with about 50 paintings, was painted. You can see very close. Let's get a close-up of these just to get the light and the texture. You can get real close into it, conveying the layers. So this was actually painted in the mountains, on the trail, on location. Maybe a series of these. Many of these locations were painted by artists from the Hudson River School 100 years ago. So I'm happy to win an award with the Paul Krasner Foundation and stay at the artist colony at Birdcliff, where for a month I was able to paint quite steadily over about 50 paintings from that area. It's a waterfall, the same technique. And this painting here is one of four. If you can remember during this tour, I'll get to the other three, where this is actually painted in a cove where many famous Hudson River School paintings were painted in the same exact space. This one was painted on location with the three others right in the cove itself. My feet were actually in the water painting these, and I waited until sunset. So I was very happy to be able to paint those with my friend Meade Barnett, whose families go back to that Hudson River School group of painters. So I was very happy to be acquainted with that history. Here's a seascape, again with the resonant technique, starting with watercolor, building on up with many, many layers, painted on location outside my apartment in Ventnor. This apartment is a block from the ocean, so there are many, many, many paintings from that location. They took about 5 years to surface, and a lot of those are in a gallery that I have now in Atlantic City with the Noise Museum and Stockton. These are prints. I've print these prints with a small printer, and also have a large format printer. They're embellished, they're painted into, and the quality prints, I'm happy to be able to come up with these because they're affordable and they work well with healing arts programs, places that have budgets for art. Again, here are some studies. If you look closely, these are studies. They're quite rough, but they do get the feeling of that magical light that's in Woodstock toward the end of the summer. These paintings were focused on trying to get that magical light that is very strong out in the Woodstock area. All I can say, it is quite a magical place for an artist to paint. Here's a photo from the trail of the previous paintings. And hi, thanks for coming. And now I'm going to jump to, well, actually over here is another painting of the cove. You can zoom in on this one. This is a painting of the cove, which was painted in the water, and I've painted a number of them that day on location. So they're very vibrant. The American Indians, my friend Meade used to say, called this the grandfather of, they call it his grandfather because the land shows so many thousands of years. So it's quite serene in this cove. And I was very happy to be able to paint that with my friend. Now, let's see, starting with work that, I'm going to jump to some work that I did at the Japanese Garden. And this show features work from the Japanese Garden. It features work from Fairmount Park in Philadelphia, and also paintings painted in Ukraine when I visited there years ago. These paintings, again for spring, are painted of the Japanese Garden in Fairmount Park. They're painted on location. There are many, many, many layers to this work. Actually, there's a watercolor underneath this, so it might be quite detailed. But because of all the beauty of the blossoms, which happen all at once there, the range of pastels and brushwork needed to convey that sense of the blossoms coming in spring. Actually, you can get quite close to that to see some of the layering. Watercolor and pastel. Quite a lot of work for me to be able to try to get some of that beauty at the Japanese Garden in Fairmount Park. This painting here is also a good example of a very layered surface in an attempt to try to get some of the delicate work of the blossoming trees, lavender trees and cherry blossoms. I'm going to move on to just coming around here in the print bin. These are, again, studies of blossoming trees from Fairmount Park. Again, this whole bin is filled with paintings that are from that over a 3-year period. I was painting on location at the Japanese garden, so these are all studies. So I literally have maybe 50 paintings from that. There are a few. And I use a technique where there's a prime surface and watercolor underneath, and then I will get the color fields of pastels to go over that, to infuse underneath those subtle layers. So here are some examples I'm very happy to be able to complete. And again, these are, a lot of these have print bases, so they're quite affordable. Although I'm very happy as a printmaker, I've learned how to develop these kinds of surfaces when I studied at Parsons years ago, so I'm really happy to be able to try to get some of that beauty. Here are, in this bin would be other prints. Here is a typical photo, actually, of that day. You can imagine the beauty of the blossoming trees at the garden. So, as a painter, I would be, of course, trying to paint this. So there's just a few more, a little more abstract, and how good the light is here. So moving along here, this is another pastoral scene from Ventnor Beach, and when the tide is out, there's a lot of beauty. It's almost like a Dutch painting at the end of summer, early September. So this is a print base, and it is infused with pastels. It has a museum coating. It has a lot of layers of glaze. So a painting like this usually is meant for a healing arts program. I think I would sell those complete for under $500, like that. So that is meant for a lobby, or it could be in a home as well. But there are originals that these come from. Again, here's more work from the Japanese garden, another print base. Here are some prints off my printer that correspond to this show. Just giving a little tour. Here is an original study from the mountains, Woodstock. At Woodstock, I endured 2 hurricanes in a row, and one where I lost almost everything. So the residency gave me a cabin in the forest, and I painted in there. Probably more work. I was busier there than I've ever been in my life, so you'll find hundreds of studies of scenes from that I've completed from the ocean, the time when I had my studio in Ventnor, as well as new work from the scenery there. So it was quite a busy time. It was a little 10 by 12 studio, and in that studio I was able to clean up and pull a lot together. It's an ongoing process for an artist, especially one that goes through a loss like the one I endured. Here's another print, which I'm happy about. It's on a special paper, so it's kind of bringing out some of the residents of the cove. Here would be some paths, variations on paths. These are prints that are painted into. Again, they're more like paintings and studies. And again, they correspond to originals, but these are prints that I experiment with, surfaces. These are from Monet's property in Giverny. I studied in France, so I have a series of paintings from there as well that I bring for this show. quite a range of originals and prints at this show. Just running through a few more. All right, moving along to the originals. Seems I'm organizing even right now. Okay, this is a typical path we'd find in the Pine Barren ecosystem. We have smaller pines here, and the sand is porous, the ground is porous, it's breathing a lot. Actually, at one point it was underwater, so the landscape in New Jersey, I feel that's a good example of the kind of greens we have and the light we have in this area. Over here is a poppies painting, again inspired by my parents, who are Ukrainian. I took a trip out into Ukraine where I painted many scenes inspired. A lot of depth came to me from that trip. I became, as an artist, I think I had more depth as a landscape painter come to me from that trip than anywhere else. Here's another seascape. This is an original. I live, again, by the ocean, so I see this day and night, this type of scene. I'm living with it. I do a lot of moonlit walks. Again, water mixable oils, layered techniques to get this resonance. Many layers. They take a long time, actually, to make a painting complete like this. There may be 30 sessions of maybe 4 hours each. So a lot of patience required for that. Here is a painting of my wife, a violinist. And more for spring. The paths, these are embellished prints, again, of forest paths. Some in here. Actually, this is a mountain piece. Very much like the American contemporary painters. This painting has a lot of nostalgia to it. Also a lot of work to get this kind of color field for me. Again, some printmaking here, variations on the theme of the Japanese garden. Here's another original, again of the Japanese garden has a sundial center of it, so that's a common space. Here is similar. I often use this path to the sea composition. I have a print here of that. Now we're moving to more scenes from Woodstock. Here is a painting, again, would be a typical forest path that I would find at the end of summer coming in at Woodstock. Again, magical light. My whole focus was to portray this magical light, that clear blue skies and very unique feathered light, often very brilliant contrast here in the mountain at the Bird Cliff Artist Colony. Again, artists and writers would go there since the 20s and seriously work on their craft when the industrial age was coming in. So it was quite an encouraging thing for the artist to do back then. Again, these paintings that I'm showing here do take a long time to surface. I have to be very patient until they really come to a place that catches that light or achieves that goal for me. I have to be very patient with them. So, again, here's another one. Again, this feathered light up in here, showing that luminosity. Many layers of color to build. This is an oil with a print another one very similar. Try to get an area, the essence of an area, whether it's, in this case, the region of Woodstock, or if it's Maine, or any other place. The prints they're painted into. Just going through this rack, finding some. This is a seascape I'm happy with. Again, more here. So there's quite a lot mixed in here. Another print here, apple blossoms. I have back here another painting that is an example of the cove area. Again, if you could zoom in on this one, this would be this very shallow water that's making its way through a little waterfall and meandering up into Hunter Mountain. Just quite a magical place. And again, these 4 paintings were painted in the cove, and I had to finish that before sunset. And I did slip at one time on the way up. So I had a nice fall that stayed with me for a while as I helped my friend Meade get back up the steep hill to our van. Here are some paintings of Longport Jetty. These would be embellished prints again. Very unique work. A lot of study goes into this kind of work. Again, this is a print base with museum coating, so these will never fade, but they correspond to an original with the sun setting on this side and the moon rising on this side. This is a jetty in Longport, New Jersey. So I have a mix of my print work as well as the originals here. And here's another very happy path, very experiential kind of painting, very not a lot of how to explain it. My friend and I were joking at this residency because we were painting and we couldn't believe how much beauty there was, and we started thinking about all this technology we have. It's like, this is better than HD TV. You could paint this. So very direct paint application, just a wonderful way to spend an afternoon. And here's a similar painting of a path, different time of day. Here. Again, is another print of the original, which I'll show in a moment. I'm very happy about these prints because the way the papers are today, you can infuse pastels into the surfaces, get a lot of texture. So it's a lot of fun as an artist to work with this. This is an original, an evening sunset in the mountains. Here's a painting I painted an area called Stone Ridge, which is near, this is near Woodstock. It's an apple orchard on top of a mountain. And I did a series of these paintings. So that's also from the area. All right, done for a few of those. Moving along here, the painting at the bottom is a painting painted in Kiev through the 90s. And I was there during Easter time. And what was beautiful about that was it's just, having gone there for the first time, being born in Philadelphia, it was quite a magical experience for me, both as an artist and also just to be there. For example, during the holidays, during Easter, everything would stop. They would stop for 5 weeks at a time, and bells would ring throughout the country at the same time. So it was quite a inspiring place for me as an artist. Again, a lot of depth came to me when I painted there. So this is a park with blossoms fluttering through the air in Kiev. This is a print of forest. Sold the original. So this is a print that's infused with different layers of pastels. Here's an original again, Japanese garden. I don't know how good the lighting is. Get really close to it. This painting below that, to me, is it's a landscape also of Ukraine. It's actually called the Holy Mountain. There's supposed to be. Actually, it's true. There's people who get water from there, and even though the water may not look like it's drinkable, they're cured of their worries and ailments. This is a typical modern painting with color fields, using color fields. There's a simplicity in the painting. The technique is complex, with starting with watercolor, then layering with water mixable oil, then pastels. So again, the color fields are used here. You'll find that's a lot of my work, whether it's a seascape or landscape, will incorporate this type of, to me it's something we find in modern painting, landscapes, American landscape in particular. Here is another painting of the of Fairmount Park with the cherry blossoms blooming. This was painted again on location using oriental brushes in the beginning, and then I would infuse it with different layers. This one I'm very happy with. Again, very layered technique. If you could get a close-up of this painting very close, you could see some how much work is in there over the years. Right, we're got a few more here. Here's an oil. This is an oil painting of where my mother was born, actually. I was very happy running through the fields there, and so her house is back here. And of course, my mother never returned back to Ukraine, although I was very happy to be able to go back here and experience the joy of this region. Over here is a grove of trees, pines. These are very deep forests that have fields or roads that come to them. And this, again, shows the color fields and textures with the techniques of the pastels and watercolor. So a larger pastel. And I did talk about this. This is a cove that's painted. Many of the Hudson River School artists painted in this cove here.
Watercolor?
It's watercolor, yes. And then there are water mixable oils, which is a paint that has water-based linseed oil, so it goes from water to oil. So there's a mixture of techniques of drawing and painting in this painting.
Do you go back every day to just paint on the spot, or you finish up in the studio?
I have to finish this one off in the studio, but mostly, I'd say 85% or more of mostly these were finished. I didn't touch them after because it was so fresh. So every mark had to be had to count with me sitting in the water and everything going on there. So yes, this technique is very clear, as some of the past paintings, also very direct painting. Tell me about that one. You hearing my tour?
Yeah. It's good.
It's good. I'm glad
Oh,
that
yeah.
Patrick's helping with this. Here's a painting. It's called, I call it Moon Over Sea. And again, it's in the tradition of the American painters like Fairfield Porter, who was a great modern painter that pioneered a lot of a free style of painting. A Maine painter, which has a tradition of wonderful artists, landscape painters. This is a painting that was inspired by one of his paintings, and I think he called it The Wave, I'm not sure. But this is my own interpretation of Moon Over the Sea, which is a theme I repeat a lot in my other work. Very happy that that painting is here. And we have a few more in here. This, again, is another painting from Woodstock. Again, highly layered technique showing that feathered light that we find in Woodstock. This was my goal of all the work that I painted there, was to try to get this soft light here. So I was very happy that these techniques and the space allowed me to be able to convey some of the magic and beauty of the residency. And coming to close here, this is just a forest scene in winter. Again, highly layered surface, very strong natural light hits the surface of any of my work, because a lot of them were painted on location. They have quite a glow to them, so there's a lot of mileage in them when they're hanging in a space. They always show different light. Again, that's the show here at Kramer Hall, and I'm glad I can have this opportunity to show this work and tell you a little bit about my paintings, and welcome you to go to my website, Art of Kuzma, to see a far more range of the work done from this show there. Again, thank you, and see you again.